Hi, everybody. It's Colleen Pearl, the Cool Crone, and welcome to PoliTarology. So I'm all on my own tonight, so of course I'll be rubbish at the chat, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to really try and see that I can recognize people and do all that. And I'm just noticing that my camera is a little bit too high, so I'm just going to pull that down a little bit. There we go. That's better. Hi. So I went through and I do have a few topics for tonight to read on. And I think to start out with, since there's no questions in the chat yet, I'm just going to start out. Oh, here we go. Question about Alina Habba. Yeah, we definitely want to talk about her. I'm just going to run through these questions really quick. I already picked out decks for each one of them. Just because they're things that are really on the top of the news, and there's so much Epstein stuff still going on. I have read a lot on Ghislaine Maxwell and what's going on with her, and other readers have read on her a lot too. And I've been listening to other readers, so I may stay away from that topic for tonight, just because I don't want to be influenced by all the readings that I've heard by other readers right now. And there is a lot of other juicy stuff in the news. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that Trump has kind of backed off the idea of firing Jerome Powell of the Fed. And Jerome Powell is going to be in office through May of 2026. And he could stay as long as 2028 if he chooses to. So I don't quite know why Trump has backed off of this, but I think, what came out today is that he was not changing the rates. He wasn't making them higher. He wasn't making them lower. He's just leaving them alone. And he specifically stated that the reason for that is because he doesn't know what's going to happen with this administration. So, okay, I'm just going to star those two things. Okay, great. Now, so I just want to, really quick, I'll just do a few cards on this. I just want to know, what will Dumpy do now? I mean, is he going to continue to badmouth him? Will things heat up again? But I think, this is just a sign of Dumpy getting older. Like, he's just kind of tired of this fight. And it was probably something he thought he could just get rid of the guy and then he could really control the market, right? But here's the thing, he's not really controlling the market. Although I will say that a lot of economists are saying that the economy isn't as bad as they thought it was going to be, given all the tariff stuff. Now, some of that may be because every time he backed off of some tariff thing, the market responded positively, favorably. So, there is that, but I'm having trouble shuffling these cards because my microphone's in a weird spot, but well, we carry on, don't we? So I just want to see for Jerome Powell, is Trump going to just find another victim and move on? Or, what's he going to do with Powell? We'll just do like 5 cards and see what's going on with that. Okay. So here we go. So Jerome Powell. Yeah, that's in the way too. I got to raise it up just a little bit. All right, that seems to be good. All right. How's Trump going to be treating Jerome Powell now that he's kind of said, yeah, he's just going to kind of leave it be? Yeah, it looks like for some reason he's just kind of moving on. Yeah, he's tired. He's beat that horse. The horse is dead. It's not going to move. It's not going to change at all. And like I said, I really think this is just a symptom of Dumpy just getting tired. It's no fun to kick this guy. And I think, can we look at the recent event where Powell just kind of schooled him about, the renovations project for the Federal Reserve and just made him look like a fool. I mean, Trump played it off as if it wasn't that, but the general public saw it and was like, oh, geez, this guy is just a momo. He's just a dumpster fire. So, Trump is not getting out of it what he wants. So, we're just going to do that. Okay, the second thing that I wanted to look at was Kamala's announcement. I mean, I don't think this really signifies anything else that she is going to do, but it does put to rest all of those people who are saying, yeah, she's going to be the next governor of California. That's what's it for her. And a lot of us readers are like, no, she's not doing that. As well as, no, she's not upset and deciding that she doesn't want to have the presidency. No, she's not just done with politics. No, she's not just hurt. No, none of that stuff. This is a woman who is, mind like a steel trap, top of her game, ready to take on the world. And I feel like she's going to take on the world. So just want to see here is what's next for Kamala. What is in Kamala's future? Because we know for sure she's not running for governor. Thank the gods that she's not, that she's made that clear to everybody. She's getting back on the saddle. She is bound and determined to overcome what has been going on with Dumpy. She's bound and determined. Okay. So she sees that even if she does get back in the ring, political ring, she's going to take some knocks. She's going to take a lot of hits from people who are going to say, why didn't you ask for a recount? Why didn't you fight it? Why didn't you stand up to him? Why didn't you say more in the first few months? On and on and on. And here's the thing, that her hands were tied by a lot of this. She did have big loyalty to Biden, and she also just respects the hell out of him. And I think that he and other advisors around her were advising her on what actions to take, be they for better or worse, good or bad. Those are the actions that she took, which was to retreat from the public eye pretty much, and not to come out publicly and fight the election results. Okay, so that was a choice that she made, and probably a wise choice, because this country could not have handled that at that point. The country is still, I think it's calming down a bit because people are starting to turn away from Trump. But this country's still, so many MAGA are armed to the teeth. And we could have had a really horrible, violent, real civil war, like old-fashioned war going on if there had been a big public brouhaha about the election and its outcome. We will still have a big brouhaha about it, but I think it will be split up across the swing states. They'll have their lawsuits. We'll have these other events that are going to be happening around the Dumpy administration. And I think that will disperse the interested parties that might get into the whole Civil War kind of thing. So I think that will kind of spread it out. So it won't just be focused in one place, so that it can gather momentum and become this huge, huge, big thing. It'll be easier to handle. It'll be easier to contain too. Okay, so good for Kamala. I'm glad she said that. It goes along with what I've been saying all along, and I'm really glad that the people were wrong who said that she was going to run for governor. Just glad about that. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is a story about, let me just see. She was listening to her advisors, not her instincts. Bottom line, MAGA need to see the complete corruption of DJT. That's right, Laura H. MAGA does need to see that, and they are seeing it. And remember that there's going to be a small percentage, 15 to 17% of MAGA, who will never buy it and who will go down in flames, praising the dear leader's virtues. However, the rest of them, they'll start. They have started turning away. A lot have started turning away, even though we're not hearing about it so much. But if you watch Midas Touch, you'll see that there are support groups basically for these people, at least one big one. I don't know how many other ones, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be other ones too. If not just kind of like ad hoc groups that are just like in a neighborhood. There might be 10 people who find out that they all feel the same way about Trump, where they used to be MAGA, and they'll just gather. They could be at a bar having a beer, but they're going to gather and try to make each other feel better. That's what humans do. We want to know that we're not the only one in almost anything that we do, unless, you really want to be a big star or something. That's an example of where you don't want to be, like, you do want to be the only one. But most people in general in life, they don't want to be the only one. Okay. So, all right. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So that was the question about Kamala, and not much of a question. Just, we know that, when she comes back into the public, there will be a certain amount of the public that just gives her a lot of shit. They're just not going to accept that she was right in her actions, basically. Okay, so now ICE is recruiting for new ICE agents. And what I had read just a couple of days ago, which didn't surprise me at all, is that it isn't just people like who were like former members of the Peanut Butter Boys or the Oath Creepers, or maybe, current members of those groups who were ICE agents. It wasn't just them. It was private security companies who were contracting with the government to loan their people. And the people loved it because the people were getting those bonuses for all the people that they arrested, basically. Sorry that the shuffling is loud. It's my desk, and I work a lot at my desk, and I can't just put something on it because I just wouldn't be able to keep up with everything. My life is very busy right now. So I apologize for the bad noise. I'm just going to leave it at that and not make a lot of excuses. Okay, so ICE is actually recruiting, and let's see. Thanks, Brian. I love being compared to Kamala. We're both Libras, All right. So the sign-on bonus for people who were hired by ICE is $50,000. $50,000 for these morons. And I don't know if they'll still get the bounty bonus of $30,000 per head, but they're going to get a sign-on bonuses for $50,000. So I'm wondering if the private companies will be phased out or completely stopped, or what will the deal be? Because I could see a lot of those people who worked for the private companies just saying, well, to hell with that, I'll just go work for the government. But who knows? And who knows what they have done with, how they hire people and the government benefits and all of that stuff. Because it used to be a great thing to work for the government. It was a very stable thing to work for the government. You had really good benefits, really good benefits. They had a very organized way of giving you raises. And I mean, it was a good gig, but I don't know with Dumpy. I don't know if they're continuing that custom. So I want to see, basically I want to know, is this going to be the demise of those private companies? And what kind of training are they going to receive? So I might have to do 2 throws here. First, I just want to see, is this going to be the demise of the private companies? What's going to happen to the private companies if they're hiring all these individuals for ICE? How will this affect the private companies? Okay, I just want to pull up something really quick here. Okay, let's put that over and that. Okay, all right, so here we go. Private companies, what's the situation for you? Yeah, I think a lot of the people who are working for the private companies might decide that they would fare better by working for ICE. And here's the thing, they get that $50,000 signing bonus. God knows what their actual salary is. I have no idea. But then say they do continue to get the bounties on their heads, 30 grand at a pop, or maybe they make it a little less because of the $50,000 signing on bonus. And if they've already been doing this for ICE and they're making that 30,000, these boys are just socking away money, and hopefully it's for their families and for the future and whatever. But say they do that and they move over to just working for ICE outright, and say they do that for a year, if it goes on that long, or even if it goes on 2 years, say they do that for a short amount of time, and then they go back to the companies. If I was just looking to make dough, if I was just looking to make a lot of dollars, that's something that would cross my mind. So situation is they're making decisions about where they're going to work. So some of the personnel from the private companies, yes, are just going to cross over to ICE. The current challenge is that, this is an exciting offer. And so these companies are going to lose a lot of employees. And, they probably thought they were paying people enough, but they probably weren't paying them enough in the private companies. I mean, it's probably pays more than the government generally, but this thing with ICE is just so exaggerated, the amount of money that they're paying per heads and all of that stuff. So, things are going to change, though, for these companies. They're really going to change. And it's going to be no bueno. So the Wheel of Fortune crowns them, and that's what they think is going to happen, that that the ICE thing won't work out, and that all their employees will come back to them, and that then they can continue to contract to the government. I don't know. Or do the companies think, okay, we're going to lose all these people now, and then once Donald Trump is no longer there, then we will get the people back. But what will they need them for then? Why will they need that many people to be security after Donald Trump is gone? Because things will calm down. There may be a 6-month period where it's really important, but things are going to calm down. Anyway, in the future, it's not going to go back to the way it was. It's going to be very different in the future. So these companies are going to have a hard time predicting where they're going to go with this stuff. So they're thinking, they're trying to figure out how to put this across. They feel like they're offering a really good employment opportunity, but they also know that everything that they're doing that's being publicized, when they are ICE agents that are actually contracted from these companies, they know that they're breaking the law. And so it's going to come to a bitter end. And there could be lawsuits, and there could be arrests, there could be jail sentences, there could be fines, so it's really not good for these companies, no matter what. I don't think it's good for these companies. But ICE doing this private hiring is not not going to be great for these companies. And so what will they do when they can't find enough people? And then what will they do to train them? I mean, that's just a whole other Megillah. That's a whole other thing. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. Yeah, Karashka. Yeah, they do. They work for private security, private enforcement companies, and they're being contracted to the government. So the company is making money on them doing this, and the individuals are being paid extra for whatever in addition to their salary for doing this. So everybody's making big bank right now on this. And they just, in that big, awful bill that they passed, that increased the budget to pay for this stuff with ICE, because ICE has already run through their entire year's budget. I think last month they had pretty much run through their entire year's budget. And so they need money. So now I guess they're going to take money against what the bill promises for them. So who knows how this is going to work, but really great. Yeah, right. Karashka. Yeah, we can do without the private companies. However, who's going to train the people that are working for ICE? I mean, they just have maniacs working there. So who's going to train them how to do anything the right way? Well, maybe they don't care. They just don't care. They're just going to say, go bash heads, and that's it. So, okay. All right. So let's see what else we have here. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, they don't make minimum wage. No, they make really good money. And the government has to pay more than what the people are usually paid by the companies, because the companies are also taking a portion of that. It's like a temp agency, like the security companies are acting like the agency. So, if they were making, I'm just going to throw it out there. If they were making $50 an hour, then for the agency would charge like $75 an hour, and 25 of that would go back to the agency, and the 50 would go to the people doing the work. Plus, then the government would pay the bounties on all the heads and all that. Now the government is saying they're going to pay a 50 grand signing bonus to just completely be a government employee for ICE. And then maybe they think they're going to save money with it. I don't know. It was very vague. The article really didn't go into those details, but it's not going to be bueno for the security companies. They're going to lose. And we can all just hope that ICE is going to go down in flames when the dumpster goes down in flames. But here's the thing that really blows my mind is so many readers, and maybe I should just read on this while I'm thinking about it. So many readers have said, kind of like, how long will the ICE raids and these arrests and everything keep going, and these prisons and all of this stuff? And a lot of them are saying, into 2026. And I'm like, well, how can they do that if Dumpy's gone? So what is the future of ICE in 2025? In 2025, what is the future of ICE? What's going to happen to the organization, the people who work for it, etc.? Not the people that they're deporting. We know that awful things are going to happen to them. But what's going to happen? What's the future of ICE, really? What's the future of ICE? Okay. Let's see what the future of ICE is. What's the future of ICE? So right now, what is going on with them is they they are really being challenged, which is probably why they're hiring people. Now, I don't know if people got injured and had to stop working, or if they didn't like the conditions. I'm guessing that it's more they didn't like the conditions. They didn't like what they were doing for some reason. I mean, it takes a certain kind of psychopath to want to go and bash heads for a living. That's a really horrible kind of job to have. So for ICE itself, for the agency of ICE, they're really under strain. They're really having a hard time, and I think they're having a hard time keeping people, which is why they have to hire new people. I think they've lost people, probably due to injuries, but also don't forget that a lot of those ICE agents have been being doxxed, and nobody likes being doxxed if it means that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people out there in the public that when they find out where you live, they want to do bad things to you. Nobody likes that. And because that's the world they play in, this world of, hitting and fighting and guns and harming people, that's coming back on them. That's really coming back on them. So I think there's an emotional component there that people just don't want to be working for them. But what's at the base of what's going on with ICE is the Empress. So what does that mean? Does that mean Russia? It's not the first thing that came to my mind. The thing that came to my mind is that the government is trying, or Trump's government, or Trump's regime, let's call it what it is trying to protect them in some way, to create an environment that's better. And maybe that's what's at the base of this, trying to hire people outright and not do contract workers, temporary workers. In the past, ICE had plans, they had rules, they had structure, and they weren't just a bunch of thugs, but now they're just a bunch of thugs. And the result is that they're running out of money. They get the Four of Pentacles up here, where there's not that much cash to hang on to, and they're hanging on to every little bit that they can. Now, through the rest of the year, what's happening for them is, they know they're going to run out of money, but for the near future, what's happening is that they are going to have to really do some kind of magic to make this keep going. They will have no money. They will probably not have enough employees. They won't have enough people to go and bash heads. So I think that you're going to see kind of a tamped down version of ICE. Although, with the way the crazy media is, maybe they'll make it look like it's still just as harsh and violent as ever. But they're losing. They're losing. They think they're really doing the Lord's work. They really think that they're just doing the right thing. But what we're finding is that they're too emotional. They're getting off on hurting people, and they're getting off on punishing people that didn't do anything wrong, and they're breaking the law, basically. They do fear that this will all come to light, and that things will be exposed. But unfortunately, they also will get money from the Trump regime to keep going. So I think there's going to be a lull. I think there's going to be a period of time where they've lost enough people that they can't really go whole hog like they have been. They've lost a lot of money, or spent too much money, and they won't have enough to keep going. And then something's going to happen where Dumpy comes in with a boatload of cash and says, here you go. Now you can pay everybody. Let's keep going. Let's go, bash some heads. That's what I see happening. So they're not going under yet, but by the end of the year, it's going to be a really sad tale. Now, I'm just going to use my pendulum. How can I do this? My stupid microphone. Okay, you're not going to see my where my pendulum goes because I can't bring my arm up there without going across the microphone. Maybe I'm just going to move my microphone away a little bit so you can see the pendulum. Okay. So I'll try to speak a little louder, but it won't make that much difference. The microphone's going to pick up what the microphone picks up. All right. So here we go. I'm just going to say, show me yes. Okay. So that's a good, strong yes. And show me no. Okay. So that's no. Okay. So in 2026, will ICE continue to take prisoners and arrest people unjustly? Oh, that's interesting. It's just kind of like stopping. In January of 2026, will ICE still be arresting people and kicking heads and stuff? It's kind of like shimmying and doing a little baby yes. How about February of 2026? Will ICE still be behaving in this thuggish manner? Now it's giving me a little no. In March, will ICE continue to be doing this kind of thuggish stuff in March of 2026? Okay, so it's not really moving for 2026. So I think that it's not written yet. It's not determined yet. However, it's highly likely that it will not be continuing in the same way because things are changing as we're living through this. Things are really changing. The energy is changing, especially surrounding ICE. So the people who are saying, "Oh yeah, it's going into 20," I don't believe it. Just like I didn't believe them when they said that Kamala was going to run for governor. I just don't believe it. So, and that one is right now. We know that that's right. Okay. So what's the next thing? Okay. So Trump put out this thing, a health tool that he wants to offer to the American people, that he's pushing an initiative for Americans to upload their personal health data and medical records to a new app and systems run by private tech companies, making it easier for them to, easier for the government, that is, to monitor our wellness. And I would just learned to my horror that 2 apps that I actually use have already conceded to work with them. So I'm probably dropping those companies because I don't want the government to know everything about me. I mean, our information in general has already been put out there by Palantir. There's nothing we can do about it. It's already out there. But so far, the result of that is just too many phone calls and texts from places that I don't recognize. That's been the worst of it. But anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there, that the health thing, I mean, is he crazy? He really thinks we're all going to just upload our shit? I'm not. I don't know about you, but I'm not. All right. Okay. Now, Cory Booker, angry at his other fellow Democrats because of this genius, not the genius bill. Yeah, because of the genius bill. He is really, really upset about this. But mainly he's upset by Democrats who seem to be kind of falling in line with the Trump agenda or certain pieces of the Trump agenda. He's really upset about this because he knows that in the fall, when they return, not only does the Trump regime have a bunch of nominees for different positions that are coming up for congressional approval, but also they're going to have another big budget thing where if they don't pass something, the government could likely shut down. And he's just sick of it. He's just like, you guys have to wake up. So I'm wondering if his announcements, his yelling, his getting upset, I wonder if this is going to have a good effect on the Democrats, if that is indeed going to wake them up and get them to really, dig in their heels and not allow Dumpy to just have his way, So is Cory Booker going to be effective in this? Is this going to be a good thing that Cory Booker does this? Well, first card up is a yes. Sun card. Yes, this is going to be effective. Him stomping and screaming and yelling and trying to get things to, trying to get the Dems to get a spine, to make loud noises against Dumpy, to just be Democrats and just try to put forward things that are good for the American people. Yeah. Now, this is interesting. What crosses this, the current challenge for all of this, is the Six of Swords. And that is the card of someone going away. Now, I cannot see, with the way that Cory Booker's chart is, astrological chart, I can't see him giving up his seat to prove a point, because he knows that if he's not in it, he's not able to make any change at all. But this challenge to him, the Six of Swords, is somebody leaving. Could it be Dumpy? Could that be what the challenge is? Okay, we get Dumpy out of there. Now what do you do, Mr. Big Stuff? Maybe. And at the base, how things were handled previously, basically, we have the Queen of Swords, which is my Kamala card. So is he remembering a time where, he was big Kamala supporter, right? So does he know something? Has he been talking to her? Is that because his tirade, his outrage didn't seem to really fit with the bill he was talking about and the people who were trying to put it forward. He was fighting with Amy Klobuchar and the other woman who was named on the bill. Maybe I have it here. No, I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah, here we go. Cory Booker. Klobuchar was mad. Yeah, Cortez Masto and Amy Klobuchar. It's just, so this is what happened. Well, I won't read you the whole thing, but he got very angry and he started yelling at people. Okay, so let's keep going with the reading here. So in the past, we have the Queen of Cups. So that's the recent past. So things were, in the past, a lot of things were kind of swept under the rug and not really dealt with. And what he thinks is going to happen is that it's just going to ruin the country. It's just going to ruin everything. But what is going to happen is that when we get the Trump regime out of there, we are going to have a moment where everything is possible. Incredible things are possible because we can basically start over. We can rewrite things. We can right the wrongs. We can right the ship, right? So we do have an incredible opportunity here if we stick to it. His belief in himself is profound. He is a spiritual warrior. He's a political warrior. He knows that if he really puts his heart into something, he can almost will it into being, which is really astounding. Other people see that he carries the sword of truth. They know what he is. They watched him speak on the floor for 25 hours. They know what he is. He doesn't want them to use their little indoor voice. He wants them to use their big, huge, outdoor, democratic, for the people, all the people, we the people voice. He does not want them to shrink back and just go along with Dumpy. And Knight of Pentacles is the outcome, which doesn't engender great confidence that it is him, because I don't think that he's an earth sign. I could be wrong. If anybody knows, put it in the chat. But I think, and I have his chart, I just don't want to stop and look it up because nobody else is doing the chat right now. So is he going to be effective? Yes, I think he is going to be effective. And I think, like all of these things that are coming together to bring Dumpy, or to remove Dumpy, I think his actions will dovetail nicely with all of the other events that are going to coalesce around moving Dumpy out of the White House. So I think that's going to be really, really good. Okay, so that's Cory Booker. And then I have a couple of other ones, but before I get to those, I am going to go to, I have a few things start. I'm just going to scroll up here and see if I see any more caps. Oh, you guys are all just talking. That's good. Okay. Hi, Sylvia. I see you there. Okay. All right, let's look at this. Okay. So let's read on Alina Habba. Now, to be fair and full disclosure, I have been listening to a couple of different podcasts by political pundits who are talking about this whole move. And I read on this when it first happened. And at that time, it looked like, yeah, she's probably gonna stay in there, because who's gonna really bump her out? It's wrong. Yes, the judges say you can't be there, but who's gonna bump her out? But here's the thing with the judges. All the federal court business in New Jersey has come to a halt because of this issue, because it's not the Trump regime and Pamela Joe Bondi think that they've decided it, but it's not decided. The judges who picked Ms. Grace as the next AG for New Jersey, they stand by that, and they don't think that she should have been fired, and they don't feel that she was fired legally, and they don't feel that, they know that it's illegal for Alina Habba to step in for a second term interim acting AG. That's illegal. You can't do that. So let's read here. Will she get ousted? Will she be told to put her plants and pictures in a box and go home? The first card, 8 of Cups. That's the situation. So I think things have changed. I think maybe she's going to go. Let's see what other cards we have. It's crossed by the King of Pentacles. And we have the Page of Pentacles. And then we have the 9 of Swords in the past. Then we have the King of Swords. Then we have the King of Wands. And then we have the 6 of Swords, the King of Cups, the 3 of Cups, and the 10 of Wands. Okay. All right, so let's look at this. So the way things are now, Alina knows that she should leave. She knows that basically she's been kicked out. And without Bondi and Trump in her corner, doing these checkers moves where they're saying, oh, well, we appointed her the first AG of the state. So since the AG position is empty, we're just going to move her over because that's the chain of succession for that. No, there's so much written that makes that illegal. So that's no good. Now this is crossed by the King of Pentacles. So I'm going to say that this is the judges. They're not swords, but they are the ruler of this situation. And the reason I really feel confident in that is because the card beneath is the Page of Pentacles, and that's how this was handled before. So the judges came out with their ruling, the Page is ruling, saying, no, that's as many days as she can be acting AG, and now we need a real AG, so we've made our decision. But they didn't like that, and they tried to move this, but the judges are still saying, no, you got to leave. You've got to leave, Alina. In the past, we have the Nine of Swords. So she was worried about this. She was really worried about this. All of them were worried about this because they knew that Ms. Grace was a Girl Scout. She's a real prosecutor. She's a real, person who's not going to be compromised. Her integrity will not be compromised. Now, what Alina thinks will happen is that Pam Bondi will save the day. We'll just make it work. We'll just rearrange the chairs on the deck of the Titanic so that she can stay and she can continue to pretend to be a lawyer. But what's really going to happen is that we get the King of Wands, and this is a king of action. This is a king of inspiration and action, and he is the judge who's going to say, not so fast. We are not going to let the rule of law and this court, this judicial system descend into romper room. This is not what's happening here. We will abide by the rule of law one way or the other. Interesting. I wonder what they're going to do with her, because I'm feeling he's really no. Alina Habba is willing to go. It's Pam and Trump that are making her stay. She's got the Six of Swords. She's just like, okay, they said no, got to get out of here. See ya, bye. Like, she doesn't have a big spine. She's not a really super strong person. She can get nasty and angry, but she doesn't really, and she's not a great lawyer. She's really not. This is way beyond her. This kind of work is just way beyond her. She has to have people tell her what the rules are and what the laws are. And you remember her when she was Trump's attorney in that case where she lost him several millions of dollars because she didn't know how to check a box on a form. And she just was not familiar with the form of how the cases get pushed through, especially in New York. She just didn't know. So, what people are looking at here is she got 3 kings in this reading. She got all 4 kings. She got the King of Pentacles, the King of Swords, the King of Wands, and the King of Cups. So no wonder the King of Pentacles is the one that's crossing her as a judge. And the King of Wands is coming off as the judge. The King of Swords is also crowning the reading, saying, you may think that they're going to make everything happen for you, but that is not what's going to happen. And here we have the King of Cups showing that it's make-believe. They're just trying to convince everybody to go along with a lie and make believe that that's the way it should be. They are, Alina, Bondi, Trump, They're real good at pretending and at cajoling each other into believing what they think they need to believe. It's such a bunch of smoke and mirrors. This is not a really good judicial panel here, those three. And the final outcome is the 10 of Wands. It's a lot of work. Now, what's going to be a lot of work? Well, it's going to be a lot of work for Habba because she's going to have to find another job. So she's going to have to dream up what can she do in the Trump administration to be useful. And she's failed at being his personal attorney, although he was very grateful for her hanging in there with him. Look at what she did in this position. And I can't even remember what the other position was that she held before they made her New Jersey AG. So just, I don't know. So she's going to work really hard to try to do what Bondi wants her to do and what Trump wants her to do. But I think at the end, she's going to leave. I think the judges won't let her stay. She's got all 4 kings coming down on her, so I don't think so. All right, so that was Alina Habba. We talked about Kamala. Emil Boove. Yeah, let's look at that. Now, where would Emil Boove be a judge? Is it a federal judgeship? I can't remember. Will Emil Boove get approved for his judgeship? And isn't everybody on hiatus now? So how can they do this? Or is like the Congress is on hiatus, but Senate's there? I don't know. I've lost track. I don't know. So let me go back to the comments. Maybe somebody can tell me. Melly Luna, ICE did get 900, well, whatever they got. I don't know if they got the whole 900 billion or if the bill was 900 billion, but they're not getting that money right now. They have a budget for this year and they've blown it. They've gone all the way through it. So they would have to go to Congress and ask for an appropriation of that money ahead of time. They don't get the whole thing. They will over time get all of that, but right now they're broke. Okay, so we are looking at, will Emil Boove be confirmed? That's the word. Will he be confirmed as a judge? And could somebody put in the chat what kind of judge and where he's up for? Federal judge or whatever it is. What kind of judge? God, he's a nasty piece of work. He is really nasty. Interesting. Okay. So the first card shows that he is protected, you know, whether it's the House or the Senate. I don't know which one has the final approval, but somehow he is protected. He's in the, I think he gets approved. However, I think it's he's chained, he's bound, he's restricted. And I think that he's going to regret, if he is confirmed, it looks like he may be, he's going to regret this, taking this position, because it's really going to tie his hands. So we'll see more about that as we go on with the cards. I think he likes the fact that it's a lifetime appointment. He likes that. He doesn't have to go look for another job. He can just be that judge thing. But again, I think he's going to be very disappointed with how restrictive that job really is for him. In the past, he had a lot of freedom. He could do whatever he wanted. He has the 10 of Cups. He was very free to express himself, to make as much money as he wanted as an attorney. And an attorney like that usually makes a lot of money because they'll just do whatever they need to do to make the money, to make the client happy, to get the client out, to protect the client, to, especially when the client has deep pockets, the attorney's pockets will become even deeper. What crowns him? What does he think's going to happen? He thinks that he's pretty slick. He thinks he's going to slide into that position and just sit there for the rest of his life collecting a salary and maybe not having to work very hard. You know, I don't even know what sign this guy is. I'd say he was born under the sign of slime. All right, but what's really going to happen is this is going to be the end of his career. And this is what I thought when I first saw the 8 of Swords. I was like, wow, is he going to be like arrested? Is he going to be have his law license taken away? Is he going to be arrested? Yeah, something that really traps him is going to happen. And look at this. In the future, he gets the 10 of Swords. The ending, and it's swords, it's legal. So I think that's the ending of his legal career. I think he probably is arrested, loses his law license, is, this is no bueno. This is not good at all. Now, his idea is that he can defend anything. And as a defense attorney, this would be your kind of main card, the 7 of Wands. You are defending things, and that becomes your identity. And that is his identity. He's the one who said, F the judges. You don't have to listen to what the judges say. Really, you're an officer of the court, and you're saying that you don't have to do what the judges say. I'm sorry. Do you know what game you're playing? Do you know what career you signed up for? Lawyer, officer of the court, you do what the judges say. You practice your law to the best of your ability, but in the end, the judge has the right to make the judgment, and you have to follow that judgment. Others are going to see that he's like Alina Habba. He's going to have to work really, really hard. Now, is that in order to keep his job, or is that in order to get another job, or is that just to stay alive or to keep, hang on to his license? I don't know. What does he hope for? Yeah, this guy is also a real big narcissist. He really thinks he's the star. He really thinks he's just out there. His doesn't stink. He can do whatever he wants. He told him to F the judges. He thinks he can do whatever he wants. Not so, sunshine. Not good. And the final outcome for him is the 7 of Swords, the lying and cheating card. So, yeah, he's a liar and a cheater. And I think they're probably, if they don't lock him up, at the very least, they're going to take away his law license, and they're certainly going to strip him of his judge's robes. So he may get it initially, but he's going to regret every minute of sitting on the bench. That's for sure with this guy. Okay, so I think we got through everything. Let me just go back through here. I'm pretty sure we got through everything. And thank you all for hanging with me all this time. Let me see. I just want to put this up. So Brian was one of the first people in the room, and he said, I had the craziest dream, and I never remember my dreams. I walked into a diner in Washington, D.C. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Tim Walz, and Barack Obama sitting there at a table in the middle of the room. I blurted out, "What in the world are you all doing here?" They looked at me and said, "Don't worry, we've got this." in my dream, I was like, oh, okay, right on. That's great. And I think that that is kind of what I thought when I heard Kamala's announcement. I thought that was her personal signal to me, talking about narcissism here. But personally, I took it as a signal that she's getting into the into the nitty-gritty with the people who are making their plans. And to do that, she needs to be well away from anything like running for governor. That cannot be like even in the periphery, because she's got a lot to do, and she needs to be she needs to not have people asking her, well, did you put in your paperwork, and do you have all your signatures? She needs to be free of all of that jazz. She needs to be free of any scrutiny of people saying, where's your headquarters, who's on your campaign? She needs to be free of all that. So anyway, so there's that one. And let me just go down here, and I think we got all of these. Yeah. Okay. This is rose blue. Will the Senate shorten their recess to prevent the orange one from doing recess appointments? Well, let's read on that. That is a very good question. Will the Senate shorten their recess to prevent from doing recess appointments? Yeah, I think they will. I think they're very worried about that. So yeah, look for them to come back early in order to take up some of these things for nominees, and make sure that they're not just acting directors, acting secretaries, etc. Yeah, I think they will. Good question, Rose Blue. Okay, so that is the hour, folks. It goes by very quickly, so I tried to keep it moving. Thank you so much for indulging me and playing PoliTarology with me. And thank you for indulging me on how I handle the chat, which I know isn't very good, but I do the best I can. And I'm so happy that you were all able to be here with me. I'm happy that I was able to be here with me, because, like I said, my life is just this crazy train right now. But I'm having fun, but I'm working a lot, and it's really busy, and it's not going to stop until mid-October, because I've got a little trip I'm doing out of town for my daughter's birthday, and then we come back and we both start working at the fair, and that goes for 2 months, and then that brings us to the first weekend in October, and then the next weekend would be mid-October. So a lot going on. So thank you. Mwah. I love you all. Thank you so much for being with me. Make sure that you are still subscribed to my channel. I've noticed that the subscriptions are just kind of like starting to be weird. So make sure that you're still subscribed. Please ask your friends to subscribe. Share these videos. Get them to come in and watch a couple of them and see if they don't like them. And let me know if you would like me to have some different special guests on. I'm lining up stuff for August right now. I'm not doing a lot of shows in August, but I am doing shows in August, and I want to make them entertaining for you. All right. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you Friday. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.